We tried a 30-day no spend challenge and it actually turned into 90 days. Today I'm going to tell you how it worked for us and how you can do it too. What if you weren't a consumer for 30 days, or 60, or 90? We first did this challenge back in 2015. The goal? Go 30 days without spending any money on consumerism type products, and that even included eating out, groceries, fuel was a goal. We had to buy 2 tanks of gas. You may be wondering why we decided to do this, or you may be interested. Either way, there are a few reasons why we decided to do this. If we haven't met yet, my name is Kalen Bruce. I'm the founder of Freedom Sprout, where we talk about raising intentional children and living intentional lives. If that interests you, please hit the subscribe button below. Now let's talk about the challenge. In 2018, Americans spent over $700 billion on stuff, consuming. That's retail sales, meaning pure consumption. Not food, necessities, just stuff. The average American carries over $16,000 in credit card debt. Why? Consumerism. People can't help but buy more clothes, more toys, more stuff. And that doesn't leave a whole lot of room left over for giving. There's a reason we give the first fruits of our labor. If we consume first, there's never going to be enough left over for giving. So that's why we decided to go 30 days without spending money on consumerism type products. We still gave to our church, we still paid our rent, paid our utilities. We continued investing and saving, and we bought 2 tanks of gas. You need gas. It's really difficult to go anywhere. But no buying groceries, no buying clothes, no eating out, no movie theaters, no toys, no consumerism. And the result, it went perfectly fine. Here's what happened. The first thing we noticed is that we have a lot of food in our house. We had a pantry full of meals. We could live off this for days, even though there was so much food that people were never in the mood for and we didn't have anything to eat. But it didn't end there. As soon as we decided to stop consuming and stop spending for 30 days, we were blessed by our efforts and some interesting things started to happen. Of course, we began to run out of food in our pantry and we needed food and we were trying to figure out how that was gonna happen.
I'm hungry. Let's get a taco.
Our neighbors knocked on our door and they had many bags full of food, enough to last us another 2 or 3 weeks. So they almost quadrupled our food supply. Shortly after that was over, we had a cookout at work and there was a lot of leftovers. They had cooked Philly steak and some veggies and stuff like that. And those leftovers from the cookout ended up lasting us a while. And the leftovers included 2 boxes of frozen Philly steak that didn't have a home. So it went to the family with 5 kids, which happens a lot for us. My wife also found ways to get more food, like volunteering at a local food pantry, things like that. She was able to get the food that people didn't want and didn't take and that was going bad soon, and we could get that from the food pantry. We weren't on food stamps or government assistance or anything like that, and we weren't taking the food from the food pantry that people actually wanted and needed. We were taking the stuff that they were about to throw out anyways. We as Americans tend to take the things that we have for granted. We take the amount of food we have for granted. We take our resources for granted. We all do it. Between us using what we had and all the ways that we were blessed and all the food that came in, we were able to go for 90 days, again, only buying 2 tanks of gas, but not spending money on anything else. And one of the coolest things we noticed was that the challenge, like a lot of challenges do, breeds creativity. Of course, we don't need as much as we think, but we get creative whenever our resources are limited. Sometimes placing limitations on ourselves is a way to get creative. And by the way, our kids loved the challenge. They thought it was cool. They thought it was fun to get creative, to acquire food. They thought it was cool to see the blessings come in. So during the 30-day challenge, it forced us to get creative, but whenever we ran out of options, God filled in the gaps. We also didn't realize that we ended up spending a lot more time together when we stopped consuming so much. Typically, the more expensive an activity is, the less quality time is involved. Amusement parks and movie theaters are great sometimes, but how much quality time do you get whenever you're riding loud rides together or sitting in a movie theater in silence? Being frugal is fun. Getting creative about how you're going to eat and live without consuming is an adventure. And if you're saying this could never work for me or this is great for you, but those kinds of things, you're missing the point, I think. We did the challenge to see how we would respond. For us, it lasted 90 days. You may be able to make it longer. You may not even be able to make it to 30. But either way, you'll spend a lot less money and you'll get a new perspective on your consumerism personally, and maybe even on your consumerism compared to your giving. Food for thought. Before you go, please subscribe to get more videos on money, minimalism, and our journey around the world. Check out my new book, Intentional Children. I'll link that below. That's all for today. I'll see you next week.